For this exercise, you're gonna need a PVC pipe or a dowel rod or a very fancy broomstick, and we are going to work on thoracic spine rotation. We're gonna really not just work on flexibility, but also work on your end range control by adding some PAILs and rails with the stretch. So for this exercise, you're gonna be up against a wall and you're going to put the leg of the side you're rotating towards in front. You're gonna put your PVC pipe or dowel rod up against the wall, and then you are gonna use that to leverage yourself into rotation. Now, the key here is first making sure we are stacked, and then when we are rotating, you can start here and we can work ourselves into rotation. As you're doing that, we wanna keep the rotation coming from our breastbone, the chest bone here. Imagine there's a laser beam pointing from your chest and you are trying to rotate it as far to that side as possible without arching and losing position. So we do not want to come out of here. We want to keep the rib cage stacked, but we want to rotate as far as possible. You'll feel some stretching here and maybe even on the other side. Once you get to your end range position, this is going to be where you feel the stretch. We do not want to push into a super high intensity stretch right away, and we do not want to feel any sort of pinching. If you feel a lot of pinching and compression in your side that you're rotating towards, then this is too far. We want to back off. Now, as you're here, we want to work on some breath work. So I want you to think about inhaling in through your nose very slowly into where the stretch is. So very slow, and then exhale, sink into the stretch more. Now, as you're inhaling, you should feel a slightly increased stretch sensation. Once you have done your hold for the prescribed amount of time, typically we will start at 20 to 30 seconds. We will work up to a 2-minute hold as a goal time. Then we are gonna do PAILs and rails. The key here with PAILs and rails is that I'm not using my arms to press into the wall. I am using my chest to rotate into the wall. My arms are just kind of an extension of my chest. So I want you to keep that in mind. You're gonna feel your whole body engage, but the actual movement should be coming from your sternum. Now, PAILs is going to be thinking about trying to rotate into the opposite movement of where your stretch was putting you in. So if I'm working on stretching to the left, I'm gonna think about rotating to the right. You should feel all the stuff that was just being stretched start to contract. Start at a light contraction, turn the volume dial up, ramp up to the desired intensity, and hold that contraction for about that 10 to 15 second mark, then relax and ramp that contraction down. Now, I want you to think about trying to pull yourself further into that stretch. So that's gonna be using those muscles to pull deeper into a stretch. You might cramp here, and if you do, I want you to just drop the intensity a little, stay right at or below that cramping sensation. You should notice that gets better as you do these consistently. So the rails contraction, you're gonna start light, ramp that intensity up, hold for that desired amount of time, 10 to 15 seconds, and then ramp down. Remember, when we are doing our contractions, we are thinking about that movement coming from our chest. We are also not trying to pry with our arms necessarily. We are trying to just move and lift with our chest. It's different than using our arms. Once you have done this for a while and you want to increase the intensity, you can use your arms to provide a little more leverage, but I'd like to get you a little more awareness and control of your muscles without trying to drive your arm into the stick, into the wall more. So that is going to be, once you finish with that rails contraction, 1 round of your PAILs rails. That might be the end of what you're doing that day. You might have more, depends on what your program says or what your intention is, but ultimately that should be enough for you to feel like you are doing some work, you've got some stretching in, built some strength in your end range, and over time you should feel a lot more flexible, like you have more control of those muscles and just better overall in your spine.